Hello, I am Tanya with Ribbon Branch Crafts, and I am going to show you the tutorial for the witch today. So if you purchase the kit, this is the tutorial to show you exactly step by step how to make it. So in your kit, you were given some gray, some brown, some skin color. This particular one came with purple, but depending on the color of the kit, this will vary. You get one cauldron, a piece of cardboard, a witch hat, a foam ball, a broom, 3 toothpicks, a pair of eyes, and a cone. This is all you need for this super simple, very fun project to start to learn how to work with clay. And if you bought the tools, you are welcome to use those. I'm going to use my own tools, but it's totally up to you if you have your own tools to use those, or if you got those too. So we are just going to get right into it, and I'm going to show you. We're going to start with our cone, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and grab our gray. What you're going to do is we're going to roll this out, and we want to make sure that it's long enough and wide enough to cover our cone, okay? So you just check it like that. I'm going to roll this side out just a little bit more. Okay, so then you can use super glue or tacky glue. I use tacky glue. And we're just going to put some on here. You don't need a whole lot. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we are just going to go ahead and cover it. Trim this just a little bit. Makes it a little bit easier to meet your edges. Okay. Just continue to roll till the edges meet. And this is what you're going to have. Okay. So then you're going to take your scissors, and we are just going to trim off that excess. Okay. And then just smooth it with your fingers. Any little divots that you get, don't worry too much about it. And then we're going to clip this off at the top. Okay. And then just smooth it out. And we're going to do the same thing to our bottom. Just trim your edges. And blend it in. Okay, so after that's done, you'll have some access. Okay, so this is what we got. So now we're going to take our cone and we're going to roll it on our mat to smooth that out as best we can. And that's what you're going to have. Okay, I got a little bit of excess still on my top here, so I'm just going to pull that off. Okay, so now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take one of our toothpicks. Okay, take one of your toothpicks, and we're going to cut this in half. Make sure you cut it at an angle so you have two sharp sides. Okay, we're going to take these and we're going to stick them straight into the center in the top of your cone. Okay, then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add our arms on. So you can use the rest of this. I'm going to go ahead and use the rest of this, but you have enough where you may have some extra, so it's just up to you. This is your project. This is just a guideline for you to learn how to do this and then use your own creativity. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll and do a cone. Let me show you how I did that. So we're going to roll it into a ball. And then we're going to take it, put your hand at an angle. So my hand is like this. Okay? And we're just going to roll it. And then we're going to flatten it. Okay? Roll it and flatten it. And we want to get our arms for this particular project about 3 inches. So you want to make sure that it's somewhat thin. This is the kind of cone that you want, where it's flat on one side. Okay? We're going to do this 2 times. We're going to do the same thing. Go at an angle and flatten it till we get to about 3 inches. Okay? So this is what we got. Now the next step we're going to do is we're going to attach them just at the top. Like this. And then we're just going to blend it a little bit together at the top. Okay. And then we're going to gently press just a little bit. And this is what we have. Okay. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to take our skin color. Okay. And see, I have a little bit left over, so you can do whatever you want with this. It's totally up to you. It's just to make sure that you have more than enough to do this project. So now we're going to go ahead and roll this out, just like I'm doing here. Okay. And then we're going to take some more of our glue in our ball. And we're just going to put a little bit around. Take your glue side and stick it right down. Then we're going to go ahead and flip it and then gently form this around our ball. And you don't want to pull too much, if at all, because you don't want the clay to come off and then your styrofoam starts showing through. This is what you're going to have. So then we're going to take this and we're going to trim our excess off. Okay. And then you're going to have this. So all you're going to do is just smooth it over. Okay. And if you feel like you got a little bit too much, go ahead and trim that off. Okay. And after we get that covered, you're going to take it on your mat and just kind of gently roll around till you get a little something like that. Okay. So now as you see, we have our toothpicks. Okay. And we are just going, since our clay is already wet, you can put glue here if you want to, but it's not necessary. We're just going to center it and then gently press down. Okay. And this is what we have. So now you're going to take what's left over of your color and we're going to roll it in a ball. But before we do that, we're going to keep a very little bit off to the side. Okay. And we are going to roll this into a ball. Okay. So we're going to take that. Now you're going to take the resin eyes that you were given in your kit, and we're going to go ahead and glue them on. I do suggest using clear tacky glue for this. If you have some, super glue or tacky glue will work too, but this is what I use to make sure that you don't see any residue or glue after your pieces dry. So after you do that, you just put a little dab, and then we're just going to take our eyes, okay, and one at a time, position them where you want on her face, and just gently press in. Okay, and take our other eye. And gently press that in. And this is what we have. Now, you're going to take, since our clay's still wet, you're going to take that little circle you set off to the side and set it right in between and just below your eyes. Okay? Now, you're going to take some sort of tool. You can use a cutter like this, or if you have a smile tool, I have smile tools available in my shop, and that's actually what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using this smile tool right here, okay, and we're just going to use the bottom part. We're not going to press all the way in. We're going to press at an angle to get the smile, okay? So you're going to go in like this and just gently press to get our smile. Now, we're going to go ahead and press in and put some dimples. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to. I have this tool. You can use the back of a pen or anything that would be similar. And we're just going to put 2 little dots. Okay? So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take that same tool, okay, and the same side, but we're going to go and just barely use this on the corners. And what I mean is you're going to go in at an angle, and this is a great way to get eyelashes, the perfect eyelashes. So this is another good way to use these smile tools. So I put one on the corners of the eyes, and then I'm going to put 2 at the top. Okay? That's what that gives you. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the rest of our clay and we're going to roll it in a ball. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your ball and cut it directly in half. This will help you get even hands, and see that gives you this shape. So what we want to do is we just kind of want to smooth it just a little bit on the sides, and that's the shape that you're left with. Okay? So now we got our 2 hands. You're going to take your 2 remaining toothpicks, okay, and we're going to go up and in. This will help to support the arms as well as keep the hands anchored in while it's drying. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in at an angle. You see that? We're going to go straight in the center, and then we're going to make sure that this goes into our foam. Just like that. And we're going to do it with the other side. Just like that. And if you can't get them all the way in, that's okay. You can trim your toothpick. Just trim it at an angle, and it's no big deal. So now what we're going to do, I am going to use just a little bit of super glue for this part. You don't have to, but I like to do it for the extra security. I'm going to put a little dab of glue on my toothpick, and then I'm going to put these this way, okay? And we're going to attach them right to our wedge. same way. And then we're just going to lightly press to meet the edges. Okay. And this is what we have. So now the next thing that we're going to do is the hair. That's, you should have some brown in your kit for this. So now for this, what we want to do is we want to do like a log shape with our clay. So as you're rolling it, kind of get it already in a little bit of a log shape already. And then we're going to take our roller, okay, and we're just going to do like this, okay. Then we're going to widen it a little bit, just like that. And this does not have to be perfect. This is going to be the hair. So you can make this as long or as short as you want. We just want to make sure that this is wide enough to go around her hair. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to, see, I need mine just a little bit wider because we are going to go ahead and wrap this around her head. Okay, I think that's good. So now the next thing that we want to do, we're going to take our scissors, okay, and at the bottom of the hair, we're going to clip. You don't have to do this part, but I think it makes her hair look better, more like hair. So you're just going to cut straight up with some snips, no big deal. And then what you're going to do is, see, we're going to go right here and then pull it around, okay? And if you have some hairs like this, we're just going to trim off our excess. Okay. And then we're just going to kind of form it. Don't worry too much about the top of her head because we're going to put the hat on and you won't see that anyway. Okay. So now, there we go. We have the start of our hair. So now what we're going to do after that is we're just going to go in and we're going to add a little more detail to her hair. Now this is optional. You don't have to do this, but if you want to practice, this is something you can do to try to learn details. Okay. So after we do that, what I like to do, you're going to have some left over, so you can do this whatever you wish with that. And what I like to do, if you bought the tools, you'll have something similar to this in the kit. And I like to take it and we're just going to gently press. Just make some random lines, okay? And this will give the simulation, make the hair look a little more detailed. Like there's more to the hair than just the cut lines, okay? So that's why we're doing this. And like I said, this is, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but this is a feature you can add if you want to hone in your skills a little more. So now for this part, to make sure we don't squish it, I like to hold it with my finger as we go up. Okay, I'm just gonna go all the way around. And we're gonna go up this little piece of hair here. And I just kind of go up about where I think the hat's gonna stop. And this is what that gives you, okay? Now we have our hair on. So now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put the hat on. You're gonna have a seam where the ribbon is. We wanna make sure that that's in the back of your witch. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some glue, find your seam, and we're going to put some glue around the rim of our hat. And then with the seam facing backwards, we're going to set this and press it down gently onto our witch's head. Okay, and that's what we got so far. So now the next thing that we're going to do is this little piece of cardboard that you got in this cauldron. We're going to go ahead, I left it like this for you so you could decide if you wanted to do your cauldron a different way that you could. And if you wanted to do it the way I'm going to show you, you can also do that too. Okay, so this is totally up to you. If you want to put, if you like to fake bake and you want to fill this with frosting and use it a different way, you can absolutely, you'll be able to absolutely do that. But I just put some super glue around. I put a little more on the edge. You can also hot glue this down if you have a hot glue gun. Okay, we just want to make sure that this is anchored before we start adding the next step. Okay. Okay, we're going to give that just a second to dry. Okay, once you have that, you pick which side you would prefer to use. I want to show as much detail as possible, so I'm going to have mine like this as my front. Then you're going to take the color you were given. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull off just a little bit of that. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a ball. And then we're going to make a little bit of a log. So you just set your finger and roll it back and forth. This does not have to be perfect. And we're going to cut this into 3 pieces. Now each one we're going to roll into a ball. Okay? Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your finger and we're going to gently press. And try to press in just enough where they all are about the same size. Okay? So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stick these on our witch right down the front of her dress. Okay, that's what you should have. So now I use this tool, but you can use anything that'll give you the same effect. And we're just going to press 4 holes in to make it look like buttons. Okay. Okay, so that's what that gives you. So now we're going to take the rest of the color that you were given in the kit and we're just going to start rolling some balls, okay? And what we want to do is we want to roll them in various sizes. You do not want them all to be the same size, okay? Because we want to add, we want to have some interest to our cauldron, and this is what will help you to achieve that look. We want it to make it look like it's a cauldron that's bubbling over. What I like to do is do some bigger ones for the bottom, just to fill it in quickly. And then you do a little bit of the smaller ones on top. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I start in the back, put you some super glue down, and we're just gonna start putting them on about like that, okay? just going to keep doing that. Okay, so I'm going to take a little more of my glue, and we're just going to keep going. Make sure you want it to kind of go over just a little bit like that. Now you can start putting a little bit smaller ones inside, okay? Okay. Now if you have a little bit showing, that's okay, because I'll show you what we're going to do with our remaining, okay? So this is what you should have so far, okay? So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to roll some smaller ones. And this is more just to fill in the holes and build it up with what we have left. If you want this higher, you can also use your access clay to put as your first layer down and then put the color you actually want to show. That would be another good way to build this up if you wanted. So what we're going to do is after we get it covered like that, we're just going to stick some in and make sure that you can't see through the bottom. Okay, so now what we're going to do with our last little bit of this color is we're going to roll again, do you some bigger ones, some smaller ones. Now what you're going to do is we're going to take our glue. I do recommend using super glue for this part. We're going to go down the side of our cauldron. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of super glue, and we're going to put one here, one there, and we're wanting to make it look like it's spilling over, okay? This is a very easy project that you can do. This will help you with learning the basics of working with clay and making characters. Okay, so we're going to take our last little bit of clay that we have, and I think I'm going to put one last one right there. And then I'm just going to take what I have left and put just wherever you think. Looks nice. So now here we go. You have your witch, you have your cauldron, and a little bit of clay left over. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed the kit, and I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget, I love you. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me. And don't ever forget how much Jesus loves you, okay? Bye.